In 2022, a very high-profile case between two Hollywood celebrities was everywhere, चाहे वो media हो या social media हो, and everyone had become judge and jury. But being on social media at that point was just very uncomfortable, and that is what happens जब कोई ऐसा case होता है which is very salacious and dramatic in nature on paper, जब वो इतना coverage मिलता है उसे, a kind of uncomfortable feeling sets in as a viewer. That was what happens in this docu-series as well. Hi, I'm Pratiksha Mishra and you're listening to my review of the Indrani Mukerjea story, Burried. Truth. If you were kind of reading the news in the early 2000s or just live in Mumbai, it's very difficult to have not heard of the Sheena Bora murder case. It's also even more difficult to not know of all the players that surrounded because of the media circus that followed that entire investigation. The trial of this case is still happening, which is also why a lot of ethical questions arise from this docu-series, but we'll get into that later. Let's start with a bit of context, which is also what the first episode of this docu-series does, gives you a lot of context into the case, into the suspicions, into the theories, and also into the media circus that followed. We find out during the show that 25-year-old Sheena Bora allegedly went missing in 2012. And her mother, Indrani Mukerjea, and her third husband, Peter Mukerjea, told everyone that she had moved to the US. Sheena was also said to be in a relationship with Peter's son Rahul Mukerjea, who did not really buy into that version of events. हालांकि इस केस में जितने भी accused हैं वो बेल पे बाहर हैं, अभी भी इस केस में कोई conviction नहीं हुआ है, which does put this docu-series in bit of a murky territory when it comes to ethics. Making a docu-series about something that is still sub judice, that is still in court, is kind of a very shady territory to wade into. इस docu-series का main issue is the ethics surrounding all of it. I'm not saying it's a badly made docu-series, but if you can separate the ethics from viewing it as a piece of content, then you'll probably enjoy it much more than I did. I personally cannot separate them, but that's on me. I guess it's a subjective thing. Watch it, tell me what you think. I will comment that there is an effort for this story to be a balanced storytelling, but kahin pe just the way some stories are treated over others does kind of signal a bias that is present, whether it is subconscious or not is another matter altogether. One USP that probably this docu-series has is that unke paas access hai to Indrani Mukerjea. They also mention in the end that they approached everyone who was accused in the case, but only Indrani agreed to appear on camera. The access that they have gotten to her, the docu-series itself seems to be putting that on a pedestal. So we do get Indrani's version of events throughout the docu-series. In version of events ko counter karne ke liye log hain, support karne ke liye log hain. There are journalists who are speaking, commentators. There's also her son Mikhail and her daughter Vidhi. The most compelling thing about this show is the phone conversations that we hear that are recorded between Rahul and Peter and Indrani Mukerjea. In conversations mein hum sunte hain ki Rahul consistently asks, where is Sheena, and he gets responses from these two. These are honestly some of the most telling parts of the docu-series and truly help you kind of understand just the mentality of everyone that is involved in this case. When it comes to the interviews, however, there are parts where it feels kind of staged, and that does not help with a documentary like this, where already itne sare truths hai, half-truths hai, lies hai, you don't know which is which, you don't know who is lying to you, who is not, because nothing has been confirmed as such. So in this scenario, when something feels staged, it just takes away a lot from the essence of what a docu-series can be. Ek jagah pe to someone says also ki, oh, there is no Kardashian family in India, which kind of points to a very disturbing aspect, the fact that this entire case had become just this kind of source of very macabre entertainment. And that is also something that this docu-series contributes to. ये docu-series एक अलग path ले सकती थी, something that other documentaries and docu-series, especially in the true crime genre, have taken, of criticizing the media circus that surrounds events like this, of criticizing the way people become judge and jury before the courts even give a final verdict. पर ये docu-series उतना उस लाइन में जा नहीं पाती है. एक चीज है इस docu-series के बारे में कि they're asking everybody questions. It does not mean कि they're asking questions to one person and letting the other person's testimony just be there. वो हर इंसान से questions पूछते हैं, kind of poking holes in what they're saying. For instance, when Indrani Mukerjea's lawyer is speaking to the camera, Indrani does interrupt him in moments. The docu-series could have kept that out, but they don't. They do give you just a holistic version of who Indrani Mukerjea is on camera and even off of it. Ethically, sure, very dicey, but it makes for good television. The sensationalism that this docu-series uses is something that media also used earlier, and apparently it's still working. I had earlier hinted at the docu-series having a different lens for different talking heads. The most glaring of this is seen in Rahul Mukerjea's case. जब राहुल फोन पे बात कर रहा है इंद्रानी मुखर्जी से या पीटर मुखर्जी से, we see an actor recreating the scene and we see just alcohol bottles strewn around, there are cigarette butts everywhere. This is an image of Rahul that probably does not come from Rahul himself contributing to it, so you don't know how much of it you can trust. In a docudrama, you expect everything to be true, but that's not necessarily always the truth. Fiction can seep in, and it's difficult a lot of times to make that distinction. So it's very important to kind of pay attention to how the lens is viewing each of the characters, even if it is in a docudrama. There are a lot of things that are revealed. The docudrama suggests that maybe there was a cover-up happening. There are instances where it is hinted that Indrani was probably controlling her children through money. And I understand, this show ka naam hai the Indrani Mukerjea Story, but the case is also about Sheena Bora. At some point, someone talks of Rahul's testimony in court and says कि वो जब बात कर रहा था, he kept bringing everyone's attention to the fact that this is Sheena Bora's story, that a person's life has been lost in this. This might be a bit complicated to explain, or maybe this is just a personal feeling, but I feel like Sheena Bora was very much absent from this docudrama. बहुत जगह लोग उनकी बात कर रहे हैं. They're talking about her, say, through pictures or just their memories or just their attempts at trying to find her. But just Sheena Bora as a person feels missing for the most part of it. Most docudramas take an either or route. They either give you interview recreation, sometimes archival footage, sometimes media footage, or they just kind of capture everyone in their own space, just freely, candidly, if you will. This is something that happened in Love Story, for example. The couples were captured in their space candidly while we saw recreations alag se, and this does work to a certain extent. Here, however, there's a weird narrative shift that happens. Show starting may sticks to the first thing where you're seeing interviews, recreations. Towards the end, it becomes a more candid space, and that kind of shift is very jarring. There are parts of the Indrani Mukerjea story, Burried Truth, that just don't feel like they should be there, like Vidhi just sitting in a beach and just looking into a distance, or Indrani Mukerjea standing on her balcony and staring into a distance. All of these just feel unnecessary for the format, but because of the narrative shift that they do in the middle, it feels even more so. Filmmaking jo hai as an art is very subtle. There are sometimes things that are happening that you might not detect but might still affect you as a viewer. One thing that in this docu-series affected me was the music. When we see Indrani Mukerjea's lawyer step in, the music that is there in the background makes him feel almost superhero, almost savior-like. When we see Rahul's recreation, पीछे का music almost feels comical. Like I thought कि वो लोग बस एक step दूर है, गोलमाल है भाई, सब गोलमाल है play करने से. And this does have a subconscious effect on the viewer. It is going to. So this is another place where I feel like the filmmaking was a little irresponsible when it comes to this story. There is of course the matter of the ethics. But also, as a TV show, which essentially it is very, very well made. The drama is there, it's very salacious, the sensationalism there, and that does work for an audience. And that is something the docu-series itself is also aware of. क्योंकि इंद्रानी मुखर्जी को जिस तरह से पोजीशन किया गया है इस docu-series में, you know that they're kind of trying to make a figure out of her when a viewer sees it. However you feel about that is again subjective to you. I think it's again very much creeping into the dicey territory of taking real life tragedy and putting it for social media amusement. But if I had to rate this show for everything that it is, my rating for the Indrani Mukerjea story, Burried Truth, will be 3.5 stars out of 5.